Welcome back to the channel, everyone! Today, we're diving into one of the biggest controversies to rock Disney in recent years, the live-action Snow White remake, and more specifically, how its star, Rachel Zegler, went from Hollywood's newest it girl to facing a massive backlash. If you've been on social media lately, you've probably seen clips of her interviews trending for all the wrong reasons. Angry fans, theater pullouts, and a painfully low box office. This story has it all. Buckle up because we're digging into the details of how a fairy tale turned into a nightmare for everyone involved. Hey there, everyone! Welcome back! If you enjoy hip-hop news, pop culture commentary, and all things music industry related, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Today, there's a really interesting topic. Kanye West, Ye, recently came out and admitted he's jealous of Kendrick Lamar. There's a lot to unpack here, from the creative rivalry to Kanye's habit of comparing himself to God, so let's dive right in. First things first, you might be wondering, why would one of the greatest and most influential hip-hop artists of our time, Kanye West, be jealous of another rapper, even if that rapper is Kendrick Lamar? Well, in a recent discussion, Kanye opened up about feeling overshadowed by Kendrick's success and collaborations. For starters, Kendrick Lamar is recognized as one of the most groundbreaking lyricists of this generation. He's won numerous awards, including multiple Grammys, and he's even performed at the Super Bowl, so it's no surprise that people in the industry might look at Kendrick with a bit of envy. But the tone of her comments rubbed people the wrong way. It wasn't just about her wanting a more independent Snow White, it was the dismissive attitude toward the original. Some fans felt she was mocking a film beloved by generations. Instantly, you had two camps: people who supported a modern Snow White, and people outraged that the lead actress seemed to have no respect for the source material. Social media became a war zone. Some users made comedic skits mocking her stance on the prince. Others accused her of hypocrisy for taking a role she apparently disliked. The heated exchanges were everywhere: TikTok, Twitter, now X, Instagram, you name it. When Snow White finally hit theaters, it brought more bad news. Despite a massive budget, some say around $250 million, the film opened to a shockingly low box office number, hovering around $45 million domestically in its first weekend. For a Disney live-action remake, this was practically unheard of. Compare that to The Little Mermaid, which faced its own controversies but still managed around $95 million on its opening weekend. Even if you account for differences in marketing or timing, Snow White was in a rough place. Soon, theater chains started pulling it from prime showtimes, replacing it with films that were actually drawing crowds. Critics labeled it a flop. Fans called it a sign of franchise fatigue or a backlash against woke remakes. Rachel Zegler's name was front and center in every discussion, even overshadowing the film's actual content. It wasn't just about how good or bad the movie was anymore, it was about her behavior, her attitude, and her commentary on the original. Hoping to defend herself, Rachel posted a video from what looked like her bedroom. She talked about receiving death threats, being targeted by hate comments, and still wanting fans to line up to support her work. You could see she was upset, maybe even teary-eyed, but there was also a defensive or even passive-aggressive undertone in how she addressed critics. It's tough. On one hand, no one deserves death threats. But on the other hand, critics pointed to the video as yet another example of her missing the mark, reading it as condescending or self-centered. Listen to me. Appreciate my art, but also I'm not going to really apologize for previous comments. That was the vibe people got. This video went viral within minutes. TikTokers stitched it, YouTubers dissected it, tweets flew around. Instead of diffusing the situation, it felt like Rachel had poured fuel on the fire. Then we come to the Oscars. Rachel attended alongside co-star Gal Gadot, and the friction was almost palpable. Observers noticed they barely interacted on the red carpet. No friendly banter, no camaraderie. In interviews, Gal seemed distant and professional, while Rachel tried to push the narrative of unity. The media pounced on their body language. Rumors swirled that Gal Gadot wanted to quietly distance herself from the project. After all, her Hollywood status remains pretty solid. And since she's not overshadowed by the same controversies, she can move forward unscathed, while Rachel remains in the hot seat. Behind the scenes, the fallout is real. Industry insiders claim studios are reconsidering whether Rachel can carry a film. Marketing teams are wondering if her involvement will repel more viewers than it attracts. While she still has some die-hard fans, The overwhelming sentiment online has turned sour. This kind of backlash might seem excessive, but Hollywood is all about bankability. If you're seen as a gamble, a controversial figure that puts investments at risk, studios quickly pivot to safer choices. Public image is everything, and right now Rachel's is at an all-time low. Disney fans, the people who buy merchandise and queue for every new release, felt alienated. Many said they simply wouldn't pay for a ticket because they perceived disrespect for the original film. Some older fans who grew up watching the classic found the weird and creepy label insulting to a beloved piece of animation history. So, where does Rachel Zegler go from here? Some celebrities survive scandals by issuing heartfelt apologies or showing some humility. But so far, Rachel's approach has been defiance. She hasn't exactly delivered that "I'm sorry if I offended you" moment that can sometimes smooth things over. Instead, she's doubled down, criticizing the hate and championing her version of modernizing a classic. Hollywood loves a comeback story, but it usually requires the star to own up to mistakes or at least attempt to mend fences with the public. Rachel's team is reportedly scrambling for a way to salvage her image, pitching redemption arc interviews, hoping the conversation shifts away from Snow White's box office flop. As fans, all we can do is watch how it unfolds. Perhaps a few new roles with strong performances might change minds. Maybe time will pass, and people will move on to the next controversy. But the question remains: will Rachel Zegler's name always be tied to this meltdown? Before we wrap up, it's worth taking a closer look at what this situation reveals about the delicate balance Disney tries to maintain with these remakes. On one hand, they want to modernize beloved classics for new audiences who might crave progressive themes and stronger female leads. On the other hand, they're dealing with fans who have a deep, nostalgic attachment to the original stories. Fans who can feel alienated if the updates seem too drastic or disrespectful. Some of Disney's live-action adaptations, like Beauty and the Beast or The Lion King, have been financial juggernauts, tapping into that nostalgia while making slight updates for modern viewers. Others, however, have stirred up controversy for deviating too far from the classic formula or being perceived as hollow cash grabs. Snow White's remake wasn't just fighting expectations, it was also competing with the legacy of being Disney's first full-length animated feature, a cultural cornerstone since 1937. In Rachel Zegler's case, her commentary highlighted how tricky it is to publicly critique a nostalgic property. Even if her aim was to celebrate a more empowered Snow White, the way she presented it came off as belittling the original and, by extension, the fans who cherish it. Once you lose the trust of a large chunk of the Disney fanbase, it's an uphill battle to win them back. It also underscores how actors and studios must navigate public perception in the age of social media. One offhand remark can generate thousands of reaction videos, memes, and critical posts. For some fans, it's not just a movie anymore, it's personal. Disney's brand thrives on emotional connections, so if the star of a remake undermines those warm and fuzzy feelings, intentionally or not, it can be devastating for both the film and the performer's reputation. Ultimately, this controversy isn't solely about Rachel Zegler or even Snow White. It's a bigger conversation about how movie studios handle iconic stories and how today's celebrities must balance authenticity with respect for beloved legacies. If there's one lesson to be learned, it's that the public has no shortage of strong opinions, and they have no problem letting Hollywood know exactly how they feel. In the end, the story of Rachel Zegler and Snow White is a cautionary tale for both Hollywood and fans. It's about how quickly social media can turn on a celebrity who seems out of touch or disrespectful, especially when dealing with an iconic property people hold dear. It's also a reminder of the power of fandoms and the importance of striking the right tone when reimagining childhood classics. So, what do you think? Did Rachel Zegler deserve all this backlash, or did it spiral out of control? Can Disney fix its remake strategy, or are we seeing the end of these big live-action adaptations? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's deep dive, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.